PORJoPREPPER. See us on Facebook at Green Country, Prepper and Barter. Oh, my survival class. Fort Gibson. Here we see fishing, camping, building a fire, survival off the grid. Join us as we forage for food, blackberries all over the ground, fresh fish. Time to get back to the way of thinking, homesteading for our kids and our grandkids. Prepping is what? And look what Russell thought. We gotta find something dry. So he comes up to this dead tree, and I mean, he starts chopping this. Now, you want to see some tinder? So you take this right here, and you just flake it off with your multi-tool, and voila, you've got tinder. And I'm going and picking some of these big pieces up. We got fire tinder. Two guys are going to doing the first.
This here is going to be shorten out method.
I'm not sure why it's in black and white, but we'll go with it. Russell's already got the spark going. Using a 9-volt battery, steel wool, dryer lint, and a dead tree fall for tinder here. Somebody already found a minnow lure.
I found that. It's even got a hook.
Yeah, I looked at it, I thought I seen a minnow.
And I found that. I'll show you guys what we're going to use that for later on.
Oh, all night long.
Make a little suggestion to you. Go ahead and put it back where you were at. Keep that above it. Kind of push it down into it.
And look at that go. That's a 9-volt battery.
Just saw it. You need to get it forward up. You just need a good hot ember up inside there. You can get that dryer lint to touch it. You should be able to get it to go.
Oh, that's what the crux good for, Jack. Look. Dryer lint. Huh? Yeah. What, the road? Right, yeah.
There he goes. There you go.
Flame.
He's got it in flames. Now you can. It's blown into flame. You can put yours in the community fire.
Yay, Russell.
See how easy that was? Now, if you guys want to put some actual sticks on here, we can actually have a fire going for later.
Keep going.
Get some coals. It's good to go now. Good job.
Don't freeze to death now.
You passed one step. Now, just because you have that lit doesn't mean it's always good. So you want to keep piling it on slowly, little by little, until you have enough flames going that you know it's going to stay going.
Guys, you can grab some of that right there. That's what I brought it up here for.
Woohoo!
Alcohol.
Do you put
TV star now.
Yeah.
I know.
what we got here?
One of the items on the list was a pencil sharpener. As you can see, makes perfect tinder using the pencil sharpener to make for your fire starting. The smaller it is, the better it is. It makes great shavings. And you can also make little spears for leg traps, snare traps, different things that we can use later on the next demonstration. This demonstration is going to be for fire starting.
And this is sisal rope, if anybody's wondering.
And it ignites as well?
It's basically like a dry grass made into rope.
In the nest like this?
I prefer just to bring whiskey.
I was like,
Wrong type of alcohol.
hand sanitizer, you can actually just pour directly on that. And
So the rum I drink's flammable.
Get enough heat, it's going to go. So.
I didn't know that, so I'll try the hand sanitizer. You got to guide me along it, though.
Perfectly fine.
Moonshine counts as hand sanitizer, right?
That's smoking for you right there. Can't even breathe if you blow the smoke into it.
No, I held the damn still wool.
I'll show you in a minute. Part of our trapping method.
That's a good smoker excuse, too.
Once you get your starter, you can just toss it in the water here if you want or whatever. So, this is
We found a sunny spot that we're on the second method. You've seen the 9-volt method. Now we're doing the magnifying
as
method.
small as possible.
What'd you call the magnifying glass?
It's a monocle.
Monocle.
It can be out of binocular, it can be a magnifying glass, it can be anything. You can see he's already getting smoke.
Now, is there a secondary purpose for that lens?
It's basically fire starting, basically is what this one's for. So. Did you see how quick and how hot it's getting already? Yeah. if you want to put that maybe inside here or underneath there, or right on top of here, where you can, bring your whole light over top of this so you can catch that stuff. If you had any of that dryer lint, you would have probably already been lit up.
I don't know what kind of fish it was, but right there at that shadow line, that's that'd been dinner for me. I don't know what y'all have been doing.
You got to stay as steady as possible. The more you move, the harder it's going to be to get the light up.
Brace your arm on that rock to help it stay.
And if you can't get it in that type of wood, you can get it in some other
What
wood.
was the stick that you used? Like it?
Just a piece of driftwood that I found over here. And you can do it with anything. You can do it with a leaf. Bird's nest, like I said, it would work the best if you can find some type of bird's nest, or you can build your own bird's nest like he did up there with he's getting there. Alright, we're losing the sun.
Cloud went over the sun and we lost the intense heat. You seen how fast the intense heat was smoking that piece of wood.
Wait now.
No, what Russell found over here. The little seeds are tickling the back of my neck when I eat one. See how that tastes.
They're sweet.
Yeah, and they're no bigger than the vines are. I'm gonna do what do you call this? Batoning?
Batoning?
Huh?
I'm gonna use this as
Oh, in my hat.
axe. I'm gonna use that as
What are
the
you talking about? My trunk. So,
It'll be easier if you set it on that rock that I was using earlier.
yeah. I find it pretty easy for me on this
Okay.
soil to get started. Because once it goes down deep enough, it ain't bouncing any farther. And this is called batoning.
Yes.
And what is the reason we do this for?
Well, it's basically going to make your wood burn a little bit easier. You can also split it up to make kindling with, and you can also get tinder out of it.
Oh, okay. So now this is pretty green wood, isn't it?
Yes.
And yet this still looks like when you shave it, this still makes pretty good kindling off, or kindling for another fire to start the fire. That is really dry.
Yeah.
For green wood.
Especially since it's been raining every day out here for 9 days. You can split that other piece you just did, or even that one. You can split those back up even smaller, and get some really nice tinder. And then remember the feather stick? I showed you how to feather them up. You can use those to make the feather sticks.
Okay, so now what's the reason for the feather stick? And you're talking about like
tinder.
to start the actual
No,
fire.
you actually want to split that more.
Break this even more.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Okay. What you're going to try to do, you basically just want to whittle up because you want all these fibers. Man, you want all these fibers up here. You can see. This is what you want to catch. You just want a whole bunch of stuff like this all the way down it.
Yeah, and pile it up into a little bird nest like you did earlier.
Yeah, or you can even use that after the fact.
So you see, you can make this as small pieces as you want, and the better your fire you have. And the slower your fire burns, you're controlling how much.
How much fuel you're putting on it.
So we don't burn all of our fire.
Because we're going to have to get a lot of firewood tonight.
Yeah, I drug a couple more pieces. Okay.
Sorry about that, I dropped mine. Trying to keep from dropping yours and drop mine.
No wonder you put your boots on after walking over here.
Excuse me.
Look at them right in front of our trap, guys.
We got fish. He's
See them
saying.
all right in front of the trap?
Yes.
Looking in?
They're smelling where this.
Looking all the way down. Look at that trail, all the way from the front, all the way down. You see all them fish?
In the camera, guys, you cannot see these tails moving. We can see literally tails moving in the water. Them black spots, we can see the tails moving.
He's got him another nice one. You got him a.
Whoa, whoa, man! Look at the size of this one. Now we got breakfast. What is it? It's a sand bass. That's what we see in jumping out here on the water and flipping and getting all the little bugs, right? And that you got that. Show us what you got that on, Russell. Is that the little jig that you found? Sweet. Don't let him go. It'll be one of those fish stories. Yeah, it was that long. From the traps all the way to that waterfall, there's fish lining up, aiming straight at the traps.
Put it on there.
Yeah, do you want to make a strainer to keep it alive for a while?
I got one over there.
Nobody wants to use my purple paracord for nothing.
No,
now
he got a stringer.
The fish are hitting his jig. He's how many times you say he's hit you now? Several times. He's got him a fish tingling with him over there off the bank. Oh, that was a cast now. And I see fish breaking the water. I just seen another sand bass just flip upstream there. He's chasing fish down out of the creek up there. There are shallows there, and he's chasing them down into the sand.
This stuff is slick.
Yeah, we definitely got some bait for our fish traps over here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are all great bait. You can use these as bait.
Little perch too.
Little shiners.
Yeah, I see the little
And
perch in
big
there.
fish up there. If we want to go up to the next rapid, up a little higher up, and try to chase the big fish into the big one. About 9.
A little perch. Little shiners in there.
Well, we're talking about minnows. We got a couple of little minnow traps right down here in the water, but I think we just got our fair share of minnow and bait. There's your knife right there.
Look for any type of game trails, guys. A lot of times, if you get down low, you can actually see better as far as the trails going through the grasses.
I gotta run and get my camera.
Animals will stay on the same path in and out, so they don't get trails.
What is it?
Wild garlic.
Where? These top things are topping out?
Here, yeah.
So what part of it can you eat? You dig the root up? And it's,
The garlic's the bulb up top. But you can eat all of it. All you gotta do is just
No, those are fixing the flower and make seeds.
Smell it?
The bulb's on the bottom.
yeah.
garlic.
This is the part you buy at the grocery store.
Yeah. We call it cold.
Now that bulb there's just going to be, that's actually going to produce a
that
seed.
flowers and release the seeds.
Yeah, reproducing.
I just killed that poor
spreads more,
garlic.
yeah.
Hey, you know what? He
If
should
you
be.
put that on the fish.
Hence, that's using the rope for a pull and trigger mechanism.
The pull and trigger mechanism is that. It's going to get on
Okay.
it and it ain't going to be able to come undone. We're going to look, if you look right here at the trail, if you look down low, you can see where they're going through, traveling back and forth there, and they're traveling right here on this side.
Got a
And you can
split
actually see
trail.
the tracks coming right here. You can see the indentations.
Now, have you determined that it's a rabbit?
No, that I do
Okay,
not. But
okay.
that's what usually travels through this area right here. That actually looks like a deer track, but you can actually see trails where everything's been stepped on and going through on both sides. So what we're going to do is just kind of find a basic spot. And you can find this anywhere up here. And you want to put it at about neck height, and you want to keep it about the size of your hand, which is what these are already pre-made, so these are perfect. And you can just use this to kind of dangle. It's already going to hold up there.
Oh, dangling it down like that. So they're going to run
Right in
through
their
it.
pathway.
Oh, so their daggum weight is what
They're
is their,
going through there.
the
See how that
deadfall is their
basically
own
is?
weight.
They're going to go, we're going to try to make a path so they have to go through there. So what we're going to do is kind of make a deterrent for them. We're going to tie that up there somewhere and just kind of make, they're going to take the path of least resistance.
See. So now you're kind of putting a roadblock. Say,
Guide them or herd them.
herd them, guide them, yes.
Put a couple sticks around it. Animals don't like to have to fight to get away from different things. It don't have to be nothing fancy. They're just not going to try to go through anything if there's a closer path. So they're going to see this path right here.
And you can barely see that snare from here.
I can't even see it from here. My yeah, now that I'm really looking harder, I can see it dangling. My glasses are fogging up from this humidity.
That's your basic, easiest principle,
Yeah.
regular snare.
Wow.
We're just going to tie this end up so if it does go through there, it's going to get stuck. And we'll do spring snares and stuff of that nature later. So that's going to be your first snare trap.
Now this is you've seen a preset snare. Now he's going to make one from scratch.
This is just like military trip wire.
And you can actually make different types of these.
I see that.
Real easy. What you're basically doing, you're going to take and just make you a small loop and just wrap it. Make you a little bitty loop so that don't go nowhere. Then you're going to run your other end. You just got to basically an eyelet and run that through. Now you have the same basic principle that you have on that. It's going to snare down, can't go nowhere. You want to make that about the size of your hand. For most game, it's going to be about the size of your hand. And there's your next snare. And if you need to, most of your wire is going to hold itself. If you're doing paracord, stuff of that nature, if you don't have the wire, if you're going to have to put some type of little twig or something to keep it open, because if not, it's going to want to fall closed. So it's something different. Well, it's a whole nother ball game when you're doing that. And then we can just take and put another piece of paracord. Anybody got a piece of paracord?
I handed you that whole.
Yeah, I use yours.
Oh, now you want it.
I got 10 man.
Find you an end.
And we're just going to use that to tie another knot on here.
How much you need?
What do you think it was? Got some noise coming back from the camp back there. Oh.
About 3 feet.
So they actually showed me a lot, and then from that I just took and ran with it. I learned more from everybody else, and some of the stuff they do is stuff that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So everybody does things differently. And like I said, just because I do one thing one way doesn't mean you guys are going to do it the same way. There's always different people. Everybody's going to interpret things differently. So when you're doing traps like this, you want to set as many of them up as you can. You know, you may want 15 to 20 around you. The more you have, the better chances of getting something. This is just basic showing, so today's not really a big issue as far as surviving. So.
That wire disappeared there.
Yep.
You cannot see that snare, period. Yes.
I don't think I can find
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. This ain't hard to find. So.
Yeah.
There we go. Maybe we'll come back in the morning. Maybe have a rabbit or two.
Fish down there. Hold up your fish. Yeah, look at that. Now we got a bunch of herders here. They're literally herding the big fish into these. We're going to try to herd them into this trap. Okay, they're still standing, just kind of basically. Now you got a ton of them coming right at your knees right now.
How's them fish coming? They're looking pretty good. Yeah, they're looking pretty good. Looks like fish.
Damn, cigarette tastes just like that one. Smoked back
That
the whole
fish
one.
I like bass. I like
I do too.
Who's the one that caught all this fish?
I don't know who it was. Some cracker.
A pretty good fisherman out there.
The 4-wheel drive pickup.
All right.
Right off the rock here.
God bless Texas.
He is eating this fish, and I mean literally. And we found some wild garlic over there, but I bet you didn't get a garlic and garnish it. I wonder if it would have helped any, because we don't have. And look at this.
Chicago is now home with the highest homicide rate, the highest gang violence, the highest
That chunk of meat he just pulled right off there.
the most firearm laws, and the highest murder rate. So, you know,
That tells you something.
Good eating there.
but I've got an idea that.
Old man in the woods.
Now that he's got his light shining on him.
So, what's the coffee taste like, guys?
Coffee.
And we're talking home. This is definitely survivable coffee. It's just dumped in a can, and
But it's coffee.
it's coffee.
With ashes. Hey,
Just the ashes give it a little bit.
that's what kicked it off. Just
We have to sell that recipe to Walmart so they can sell some campfire coffee flavor.
Has anyone ever had
come
pine
out here
tea?
to get this.
No.
Pine tea is awesome. If you find the pine needles, you just pull the
yeah.
needles off and you put them in and make pine tea.
I've heard it has like
Very good.
loaded in
High
vitamin C. Yeah.
Very good for you and tastes excellent.
What now? I heard that cedar also has some kind of vitamin C in it too. But how would you break it down?
Probably the same basic principle. I never actually used a cedar. The pine needles are the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Pine needles and pine trees are very versatile plant. There's so many uses you can use for pine. You got the pine nuts, you got the pine cones.
Now, what is a pine nut? You talking about? Oh, the pine.
Inside the pine cone.
Inside the pine cone, there's actually pine nut. Before they open up, before they start splitting out, if you open them up while they're still young, they're still closed in tight, you'll have pine nuts in them.
Wow.
They're actually good.
Pine nuts
You can
are
buy
really
them in
good.
the store.
Really?
It reminds me of a sunflower seed almost.
Huh.
When they're young, when they dry them, they're a whole different world.
Yeah.
I just got one question.
Yeah.
Where's the biscuits and gravy and sausage and eggs?
This was survival class 101. Look at that survival face. What do you call this thing? Just a,
You can call it whatever you want to call it. I guess
It's a gun.
this thing, he said,
Hydro shooter.
hydro shooter. He's literally shot squirrels. He has killed game with this.
Here we go.
This is his ammo,
Pebbles.
and this is a balloon. This is my coffee cup this morning, and this is the top of this coffee cup, the bottle.
Go with that tree right there.
I heard it.
Hit
Yeah.
it. Dang, that was my best rock.
He can cover it. It's his.
Okay, I'm rolling. I like the way the trigger's set up there. Boy, it is a hair trigger.
It is. You can set them different. And normally you want this down lower to the ground. We got it set up high just so you can see underneath.
Oh, say that hair trigger, you'd want it a little closer.
You want it an inch or so, and you can build a platform all the way across. There's a lot of different scenarios that you can use for different parts of this. But like I said, you put it there, that's your bait stick. You can have an animal and come trouncing along. Gonna see its food, it's gonna get in there to get it. Don't step on the hair trigger. Which normally would set that off, but that thing got hung. That's why you want to use a straight stick for this. We just grabbed something that was there, that's why it didn't go off. Actually gonna set the hook for you. So if you actually have a hook set up.
Now, where would you put a hook on that?
Well, this here would just be your setup. Instead of it pushing on this, you're going to have this little different setup, but the fish is going to have your line's going to be tied to this part here. So as it pulls that part, basically as the trigger set up, so as the fish bites and gets ready to take off, it's going to jerk and set the hook for you.
So you're talking about making it, you can almost do the same
Set the
system
hook for you.
in the water, set it on a trigger, and catch a fish.
Take loose attention.
We got two cats up down there.
Yeah, that one catfish I got.
Yeah, we'll have to get a shot of your string of catfish there in here a little bit.
Where the other one come from?
I caught it this morning.
Pretty good size.
You got anything in the fish traps?
Nope.
There's a turtle in it this morning.
My one minnow trap washed away, and another minnow trap never did get anything in there.
Now, ideally, is your that straight stick going across there, the trip stick?
Yeah,
Is it supposed to go in between those two? Is that how it's supposed to hold it in place?
you can do it either way. I usually try to keep pressure against it, but because that way that's bent, I'm trying to actually force it back. Because what it's going to do is...
Now, hold on just a second. Okay, what do you call these sticks here? The ones that you got drove?
You're just basic Y sticks drove
Just
down
Y
so to
sticks.
keep this from coming out. Now these you want to end solid and tight because that's actually going to hold your pieces from going anywhere. So when it jerks on it, so a lot of times that's going to be.
And like he said, you can use brush or whatever leaves, and you can set the snare to lay level as long as you got your trigger system built there.
I'm just going to come along. And there is your stuff on you.
Wow, great.
Like I said, these can get real elaborate. You can spend. Usually, this is what everybody does around a campfire, sitting around at night when there ain't much going on, working on their bows, redesigning them.
You went over and selected a piece of wood. What did we select? Did we know what type of tree we selected? We just got a good green sapling,
Green one.
a live and a green wood. I've heard that those trees with the big old hedge apples on them are called boark trees. And the Indians used to make the bow and arrow out of those trees, bow dark tree, and it's some of the best wood. But I mean, as long as it's got a good spring, right? What's he doing right now?
This has no spring right now.
No spring at all.
I mean, you're not going to flex that at all right now. That's stiff. So that's the point in it, is we don't want it to be flexing just yet.
Because you get a limb then that's flexing, you're not going to get a,
You're not going to get as strong of a shot.
So you want a really stiff stick.
So you just wrap a couple times and do an overhand knot? Or?
Yep, you can make whatever knots you're comfortable with. You can just make cinch knots. You just don't want it coming undone. This is the fun part. This is the part where we're going to be stretching this dude. Come up over the middle. Cut a notch, V-notch right here in the middle of this thing. You can even straighten that out if you want a little bit first, and then you're going to have a V-notch right in the middle of that. That's what we're going to pull our rope through.
You and Kim get to have special time tick exploration.
You got maybe the saw straight down. Just width of this, we don't want it real big. So just enough for this to get lodged in there and be able to pull through. I actually have a saw on me, so I'm going to try using it maybe. Somewhere had one time maybe. Cut a V-notch just straight down. This saw is not this saw portal.
You're saying saws are all not created equal?
Oh, maybe it's the person using it.
Kind of like car trouble sitting up behind the wheel.
Sharp. I was going to say, it looks like it's working to me.
Yeah, it went right through the bone. You want to saw that for a minute and I get a Band-Aid on?
Did you really?
Yeah, I do. Where's that first aid kit? It's not the best method anymore.
Daddy Doug over here is getting First Aid 101.
We'll go use the butterfly because where it's at, we can go wrap it around the thumb.
Works for me.
And it's always a good thing to have a first aid kit in survival situations.
That is kind of deep there.
Yes, that's the only one that's really deep, is the one right there on the thumb, where I actually felt it go down pretty good. So
Put a butterfly. Yeah, if we had a little safety glue in there, you could do instant stitches, huh?
super glue.
Super glue.
That's what super glue was actually intended for when it was created. It was liquid stitches for the military.
It's not the best, but
Good enough for people I know.
you want anything around that?
Yeah. It'll eventually go away.
What are some of the other things that, for emergency reasons, that you would take with you? I know medication's one of them.
Got all kinds of stuff in here, man.
Yeah, depends on the person's needs and where you're actually
Training.
going. Yeah. Knowledge can't be taken. Knowledge stays with you. They can take everything else from you. Knowledge can keep you going.
Awesome.
As you're pulling this, it's going to be bending the bow. Kind of chip the wood away there.
So that was another reason for the notches, so that you can pull and put a bow in the string and then do your knot.
It's not going to turn to it. a little bit here. Hang on.
So now, do you want a notch on there too for the string to tie on?
Everything comes straight up. You want to put some pressure in the middle of it, pushing it toward me, push the bow. If you're pushing, I'll push away. Tension on it. Wrap it in place. Tie that off. That slipped a little bit there. You can tell it's going to have some
Twang to it.
yin and yang going with it.
So it don't have to be bowed clean in the middle. I mean, as long as you get,
it's going to bow too.
yeah, you got.
Cut us off a section somewhere we can tie.
See, yeah, you pull back on that thing, it's going to bow even more.
Yeah, I did. I was just noticing that.
Now what again?
Still got a nice edge.
After being pounded and baton and all that wood.
There's that. When you get your arrows, you're still going to have. It's coming slipping undone. You have to retie that. Well, it wasn't the knot that came undone. The rope slid up on where we're wrapping it at. But there's just 100 different knots. I usually just do a fisherman's knot on almost everything I do. So people from paracord a lot of times slips more than some of the other stuff too, because you got strands inside. Keep that pull tight there. Now, just pull that.
Woo!
We'll end up changing it because some people like smaller bows, some people like taller bows.
So
I
you
try to get about my shoulder height with my bows, because then you got about the right amount of pull.
around the campfire, you said like if a group full of people would make these, you're sitting around a campfire just seeing guys readjust them all the time, just putting more tension on them.
Working on different arrows. You want to roll your arrows and keep them heat treated, so you can keep them straight. That way they'll fly straighter through the air. You can put your fletchings on your arrows, all that type of stuff.
And that's what you was saving the feathers for back there, was telling us what some of
That
the
could be
uses for the feathers.
Easily.
Now, so you would be trying to find fiber, string, or anything to tie the fletchlings on, because you're not going to have glue, I'm going to suspect.
But most of your feathers, you're going to have that little extra piece coming out. You can just tie it on the ends.
Mm-hmm.
You got your wax that we use for candles. You can use that to help seal it, to keep it on there.
Mm-hmm. So wax would be the glue.
So this is the most primitive hunting system that's been around since the dawn of man. It's going to be the easiest, and it's been taken out every kind of game from buffalo to small game. So.
And just turned up.
You rest wherever you're used to comfortable. Some of the old Indians, they would actually set it on top and they'd shoot sideways.
Ah.
Common bow.
That didn't work very good. Went to make a little notch and just split it.
Trying to debate now, ain't you? Hold on there long enough to get a demo shot out. One little piece right there.
As he pointed out, you're building the bow and arrow here. You're going to be adjusting everything.
Trial and error with these.
Yes, trial and error. So then once you got your, see, it made it clean past the little dual trees right there. And that was just a little, that didn't even draw back, and that's the distance he got on that one.
I didn't even.
Gonna do another demo shot. What's the draw on that baby feel like?
That's why a lot of the Indians done it that way. They could use that as an arrow rest. And you cut notches in them, put your nocks on them, all that type of stuff. You can set it up just like a real bow, primitive bow, which that didn't do nothing.
Here you go.
That one don't go on the video.
Edit that one out. Okay, I'm doing something wrong here.
You can kind of see that sometimes sometimes it sticks up higher on one side than the other. So that's where all your adjustments and stuff will come from.
And that was just a big old stick.
Yeah.
Oops.
Pretty cool.
Had your
Well,
head.
that does have a mean draw. Yeah.
Like this.
No, 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 no,
Since I
no.
had Netflix
Looks like a
and I
magnet.
could watch them all at one time.
What? A magnet? What in the devil? That's the first thing I seen on the list. What would he do with a magnet?
Yeah, Netflix is wonderful, isn't it?
What could you do with a magnet?
There's your compass.
He's got a pin sitting on top of this
And
magnet.
you can actually float a compass as well.
Now I've heard of that. You can magnetize the pin, put
Magnetize
it on a leaf, in the
float it in the
water.
water, and it's going to turn toward magnetic north. So,
If you point
as you can
that
tell,
So this thing now is pointing toward the north, or is it actually pointing towards the south, and the opposite
well,
is the
the
north?
head's down, so that's actually, you run your north-south line. It's not going to be able to know which is which. It's going to run your north-south line, which is the way your magnet is.
So if I'm thinking, see, I don't know how to read that. So if I'm thinking it's going north, I'm gonna be going south.
Very possible. That's why you want to
That's
rely
why
on the
you gotta
sun.
learn where your
You know where the sun comes up at, you know where the sun
Ah,
goes down
see.
at. So the sun's always going to come up
Okay.
one way. Is it later in the day? So
So
which
if the
side did it
sun's
come?
coming up here.
Uh-huh.
That's east, that's west. Which way's north?
That way, and that would be south.
There you go.
Oh, sweet.
But in order for that to do anything,
And you can also
let me
look
get
at the
my
tree
name.
lines. The trees are going to grow toward the sun.
Yeah, let me go check my
Depending on
GPS real
which
quick.
side of the hemisphere you're on.
Okay.
Depending on which side of the hemisphere you're on, the trees are going to grow different directions. If you're in the northern hemisphere, it's going to go towards the sun. It's going to go. Everything's always going to grow towards the sun. They want the most sunlight.
Have more foliage
So-
on the sunny side.
If you're
More
in the northern
fruit,
hemisphere,
more foliage.
you can go by that. Southern hemisphere, you're going to be opposite. It's going to grow towards the south. So,
You gotta get the light open.
Great.
what you're going to want to get the idea of turning it upside down is you're going to do it with a 2-liter bottle. You're going to flip it upside down, poke a hole right here at the bottom of this, put you a piece of cloth in your lid, screw your lid back in, and you're going to layer it sand and charcoal, sand, charcoal, sand, charcoal on your 2-liter bottle. You want to get about almost to the top, probably about 6 inches. That way the water can sit in it. And you're just going to pour your water on the top, and it's going to slowly seep down through everything, and it's going to be filtering out as it goes along, and it's going to take out a lot of the impurities. Now, it's not going to take out 100%, but if that's the only way you got, that's better than drinking it straight.
Yeah.
So it's going to help you out a lot and tremendously. So.
Now you was talking about, so in a bug out situation, a good source of charcoal would be to go buy activated charcoal,
Activated
right?
charcoal works best.
But now you got,
if not, you
you
can
get a piece
use,
of that charcoal right there.
You can use some hardwood. You can use some charcoal that's been burnt. You
So it
can use
doesn't
the
have to
charcoal
be
straight out of your fire.
all the way black to use
No,
it.
it doesn't have to be completely black. If you have it that's completely black, that's been compressed, it's going to work better.
You see that on
use
it?
whatever you have on
This is deadfall tree over there on the creek, and you can see that it's almost a natural charcoal. And you break that
it
up.
makes it real porous, and it actually soaks into that and actually soaks through it. So that's actually going to help pull out the impurities.
Wow.
You just layers after layer after layer after layer, all the way up to the top.
It ain't as good as the activated charcoal, like you said, but this is just
But it'll
good for a
work.
survival
You just gotta-
situation. That's pretty awesome. Now I noticed another little survival gadget you had that you just said there. Show us what somebody made out of that that bottle.
This one,
Yeah.
that is a hobo fishing system.
And we caught a few fish off that, or someone did this weekend, didn't
Put it
they?
out, cast it, it unravels as it goes, and you just reel it back in like a normal fishing pole.
So now how? Okay, you ravel it back up. So you unravel it. That string's kind of
You don't even
floating
have to
behind
unravel.
you.
You don't even have you don't even have to
Oh,
unravel.
it'll
unravels as you
uncoil.
cast.
It'll
uncoils as you
uncoil
cast.
right off the bottle.
Just enough room where you can.
Yeah. So just way that you're holding it.
Yep.
And
It just unravels and tosses out.
That's sweet. Yeah, we've got videos. You guys seen them guys out there casting them. It worked awesome.
Caught fish with it.
So that he asked us at the beginning of this trip, what was the most important item that he would take out of all of the 10 items that you can bring on this trip out of a 30-item list. And he said he would take the pop bottle, and he's shown us a dozen uses for the pop bottle already. So, yeah, I can see why that would be. Awesome. Show us the filter you got inside there and tell us what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's still full. There's your ceramic sample filter. You can see all the dirt and stuff that's already filtered out. Remember how white it was?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
yeah.
It was white when
Came
we
in,
started this.
and you
It's
can see
white as
how
that
it's-
bucket.
How it's already filtering everything
And
out.
what's amazing is
Piece
that
of
was
steel
brown
wool or
water.
emery cloth. Yeah, that was dirt brown water when we put it in there. It was all nastified.
And then
Coming out the thing, it's crystal clear. Yep.
Oh, yeah. So you just
You can kind of see the difference there now.
Oh, wow.
Do that again.
clean it right up.
You can see you can just wipe it and it starts coming right off. But you'd use a piece of emery cloth or steel wool, something not real
And
porous.
we've been drinking out of that. I've got a bottle over there that I've been filling that out of, and the water is crystal clear when it comes out of the bottom
like
side of
fresh
this.
spring water.
And it does. It tastes.
It does. It tastes.
Tastes better than tap water.
Oh man, it tastes much better than boiled water.
Than salty water, yeah.
And you can even look through there. There's not anything in there. No impurities, no
My
nothing.
daughter,
You seen what went in there?
two different of those Brita filters that are
A removable spigot that you could just put in the top would probably be great. You know? Of course, yours is mounted, so really it don't.
Have you used those Neo Energy? I'm still debating on whether to use those or the powdered.
I like
straws.
the powdered. The powders taste better than what the liquids do. With the liquids, you can change how sweet or how you want it by adding more, how strong you want it. So
You think that would be a choice to have in a bug out bag, so that if
I
you're
would take
using
the powder because it's going to last longer than the liquid.
and you're using filtered water, I think he's still thirsty and wants the clean water. He does not want to drink out of that little stream right there. So he's saying use this Kool-Aid or whatnot, and so that you have different flavors for your filtered water. That's a really good idea. And this guy said that they use the Tang flavored one, so you're kind of like having orange juice in the morning. So that's another good idea to put in your bug out bags and have for your filtered waters.
Mainly if you got kids like me.
And got kids like Doug does, and definitely. Your items on the 10 list what would you,
My knife,
and why is that?
because you find pop bottles in trash or wherever. A lot of this stuff we've been using is trash, but you still need a knife to work it and cut it and shape it.
But
Okay.
knives can be readily available out in the woods too. You got your shells that you can use. You got your stones that you can use as flint. They can be razor
Well, I haven't
sharp.
got to that part in training yet to be able to do that.
So we should have done some while we was out here. We didn't get to it.
Yeah, we've touched on a lot of things. We appreciate your time. I mean, you took your out of your schedule and brought us out here. How many do we have? 8?
8 of us.
8 total on this trip, and he said if we do this again, he'll give us the next one will be advanced. And what we mean by advanced stage is that he says we can bring a sleeping bag along with the 10 items. We can bring a tent.
We won't have to cover the shelter.
You've seen the shelters, and you've seen the shelter contest. So now that we've got the basic shelter down pat, we can actually fortify with tents this next time. This
Shelter and fire.
shelter and fire.
As fire as water.
That means I'll be in my hammock with my poncho over the top of it.
But we appreciate your time and effort, and thank you for all the knowledge that you have passed on with us. Poor Joe Prepper, and we want to thank you, Green Country Prepper and Barter, has brought you this survival classic. We have had a lot of fun. We met new people, had wonderful, wonderful things, and always remember, check your laws in your state for the hunting and trapping license and in season. Thank you, but everything is legal when shit hits the fan.